Non-Americans. What is the best American food? Spaniard who lives in the States for 6 years. I liked apple pie. Pastrami on rice sandwiches. Tex-Mex. All the things you do with sweet potatoes. Virtually any item at a Waffle House. Bagels. Reuben sandwiches. Chicken and waffles. Cheesecake. S'mores. Chocolate chip cookies. Buffalo wings. I never got into peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I tried. But it wasn't for me. I took my German uncle to Waffle House when he visited. I swear that man ordered every item on the menu. Out of all the restaurants we went to, WH is the only one he still talks about. Anthony Bourdain loved it. Waffle House is a good wholesome restaurant. They're known for the breakfast. But the burgers are honestly really good also. I agree. For chain burgers, it is really good. Simple American food. Open 24 hours. Can't beat that. This is probably a recipe for disaster, but I'm British, and growing up visiting Florida I would love eating raw cookie dough from the refrigerator section. Cookie dough is so good that, given the option between not eating it, or getting food poisoning, nearly everyone will pick the cookie dough. It's one of the few foods in the country where everyone knows the risk of food poisoning, and everyone makes the conscious, willing, and eager decision to not give a fuck. Besides these testimonials to eating the raw cookie dough, whether from the supermarket or your own house, there's now a growing and thriving business in cookie dough made for eating raw. Some fancy grocery stores carry it. There are shops for it just like ice cream shops and bakeries, plus recipes for it online, so you can make it yourself. Cookie dough is one of the major food groups. I noticed Pillsbury now has a label that says it's safe raw. In Vietnam, chocolate chip cookies are called American cookies. I always wondered about this. Like if certain dishes, or whatever were called American. Like in the USA, we will say, let's go out for Italian food, or whatever. Like if there were an American restaurant in another country, what would be on the menu? Interestingly enough, the Vietnamese generally also view spaghetti, and especially lasagna as American. There was actually a restaurant I saw the first time I was there called Uncle Sam's All-American Grill. They had steak, spaghetti, soda, on the marquee the way Buffalo Wild Wings has wings, beer, sports. I helped open an American bar in the 90s in Köln, Germany. Mainly it was burgers and ribs, cheesecakes, brownies, sloppy joes. Germans loved that. Nachos were big as well. I look at the pictures from the restaurant and the food looks so bad. That's wild. You never really see sloppy joes on restaurant menus here. I worked in California for a while and this bakery near me used to have this spicy bread that was packed with cheese and jalapenos. It was greasy as F, but holy yes it was good. I can't find someone who's listed it so banana pudding that S is life changing. Gotta have vanilla wafers, or it isn't right. And specifically Nilla wafers. If someone offers you vanilla wafers, you turn and run the other way. Why does nobody understand that fucking vanilla wafers and Nilla wafers are not the same product, much like fucking toaster tarts are not fucking Pop Tarts mother, but I digress. Nilla wafers are king. What the F is a toaster tart? Given the level of Mexican food in Europe generally, Tex-Mex is insane compared to what we get over here. I went to Mexican restaurant in Europe and was like, what the hell was that? I'm Mexican and dude, the contrast really is ridiculously stark lol. Mexican here. Studied abroad in Germany for half a year about 4 years ago. I agree. Every time I wanted a piece of home and went to a Mexican restaurant I was met with disappointment. However, I went to a Mexican restaurant in Rotterdam and it was amazing. After months of no Mexican food I kept going back there when I could just to eat tacos, tortas, and my goodness the Micheladas were so good. I still use the Michelada recipe to this day. Turns out the owner was from Spain and his wife was from Guadalajara, so not all places are bad. My wife is obsessed with Tex-Maximum. We studied in Europe for a summer. She couldn't find Mexican food anywhere until we went to Amsterdam and she found authentic Mexican. I thought she was going to pop, she ate so much. My daughter was born and raised in Dallas, TX. Moved to Geneva, Switzerland 6 years ago. Every time she comes home, she packs a giant suitcase with canned chipotles, peppers, Xochitl salsa, pounds of chili powder, salsa verde, the works. When she throws a Mexican dinner, her friends go nuts. But their favorites are her fried chicken. She learned from dad, and they always track down a turkey for Thanksgiving. She's learned my gravy and dressing recipes to the letter. She always sends me pics and videos of her friends freaking out over super legit turkey gravy. So beyond how cool it is that my girl really picked up my love for feeding people, she's brought some family recipes overseas. She works at the UN, so she feeds people from like 9 different countries. My best friend moved to France and her number one request for gifts is black beans and seasonings. She says she can't find them in France. Every time she visits the US again we always get tacos because she misses them so much. We are Hungarian but we grew up in LA. My brother lives there now, but every time he visits LA he has to take a bigger bottle of Tapatio with him. We do the same with Hidden Valley Ranch. Ha. Anything smoked, brisket, pork shoulder, chicken, turkey. I've even had smoked burgers. If seasoned well you don't even need BBQ sauce, and it is so tender and juicy. I smoke meatloaf. Can't go back to oven baked ever again. Question mark? Care to share a recipe? I know some will call it blasphemy, but I like the McCormick meatloaf spice mix. Maybe nostalgia since it's what mom made. I'll add sauteed onions and peppers, bell/jalapeno/poblano, and follow the recipe on the back. I'll mix some sriracha with a local BBQ sauce as a glaze. Smoke at 250 with hickory until it hits 160. Glaze it once it reaches 130 or so the meat can get smoke. I use a baking sheet instead of loaf pan and make it more cake style instead of loaf. More surface area for the smoke. Double the recipe on the packet. 4 pounds of meat per loaf/cake. My dog's name is Beefcake, so this is what I'll be imagining when I say his name for a little while now. Oddly enough, no one seems to have mentioned it but cornbread. Yeah, as a guy who moved here, Americans have got cornbread down to a T. Combined with some soul food, makes me smile on the inside, gives me high blood pressure, but smile on the inside too. A nice warm cornbread muffin with some butter and a little drizzle of honey is amazing. From a Scottish friend of mine, chicken fried steak with biscuits and gravy. Gotta appreciate it when a Scot compliments another country's deep frying. Game respects game. As a Ukrainian in USA, brisket and peach pie are my favorite. Peach cobbler is an experience worth having. If you haven't tried it yet, get a cold glass of milk and go to town. I'm so addicted to sugar, peaches and sweets I can eat a pan of that. Italians, please don't hate me, but I love some of the American style pizzas. That deep dish is weird but fucking delicious. And obviously burgers. You guys have that down to an art. Oof. I love making Philly cheesesteaks. Meat, cheese and carbs equals good. Greasy, bready, cheesy are the 3 most important parts of the American food pyramid. Peanut butter and jelly sandwich. At first I thought it was a disgusting combo, but when I tried I loved it. PB&J is the food of the gods, eclipsed in greatness only by the almighty burrito. Peanut butter and jelly burrito, PB&J crate with crushed pretzels and chocolate chips. Give me a po' boy sandwich any day of the week. Anyone who says Americans don't have a culinary culture, I always point to sandwiches. No one has a level of sandwich diversity, and how it's such a commonplace meal for literally every American is why sandwiches are uniquely American. The list goes on and on. PBJ, clubs, BLTs, reubens, pulled pork, cold cuts, po' boys, fried chicken, grilled chicken, burgers, submarines, cheesesteak, bacon, egg and cheese, all types of breakfast sandwiches. And my all-time favorite is the fried bologna with thick cut tomatoes. I mean, there is a reason why every single fast food chain in America has a sandwich option of some sort, even if the joint has nothing to do with sandwiches. As a Nigerian, one would expect my favorite food to be IDK jollof rice or swallow, but no, it's fries. I absolutely love them. They are my all-time favorite food. I can't get any burger or chicken without fries, and I can eat as many of them as possible. Fries. Forgive me if they aren't originally American, I really don't know these things. American here. but recently spoke with an Italian exchange student and asked him what he would miss most about the States. Deadass. He said chicken parm. That's not an Italian thing. He said the first time he had it, he called his friend back home to tell them about, and she hung up on him. This is too funny. Italians get straight up indignant about what we call Italian food. They take it as a personal insult. Same with butchering Italian. I was in Rome about 8 years ago waiting for a bus. I asked the older gentleman who was waiting if he spoke English. He said no, but as soon as Google Translate butchered Italian, motherfucker was fluent in English. Hello, sir. Can you understand me? No. Oh. Okay. Hey. I have relatives in Carolina. I'm UK, and the first time I had vinegar-based BBQ I nearly cried. That stuff for me can't be beat. I'd be fucking huge if I moved to the States. Now you know how we got so fat, lol. Those potatoes with cheese in it you make for Thanksgiving. Edit. Wow. Thanks so much. Response. I mean the double baked one, but the funeral potatoes I have to try them to now. I usually hear them called scalloped potatoes. We often make them with bits of ham and caramelized onions. Edit. Okay. I'm thinking of potatoes au gratin. Though we've got a family recipe that's kind of a hybrid of the two. My mom made scalloped potatoes when I was a kid and I hated them. As an adult I can only look back on my childhood with the conclusion that I was a stupid child because scalloped potatoes and ham are a treat now. After reading these threads I'm convinced I could make a killing by moving to Europe with my smoker and laying down some BBQ. 9 years ago there was a Texas BBQ in London and it had a brewery attached. No idea if it's still there, but I believe the owner was from Austin. Same thing in Paris. Texas Monthly had an article on the guy a few years back. Came over for a study abroad, I think, in Austin, and fell in love with the brisket. Worked for La BBQ. Bought a smoker here. Shipped it to France and couldn't get it into the door of the ancient building he bought. Somehow found a way to get it in and get started. So as of the printing of that article there was at least one Texas style BBQ joint in Paris. Why did he want the smoker inside a building? Probably didn't have space in the alley behind the building. I'll look for the article. I love fried pickles. I ate in North Carolina, now I make them at home and spreaded it a lot. I know at least 10 of my friends make them now. North Carolina Haremy kiddos will eat the hell out of fried pickles. Any day, anytime. This is one of my favorite threads of all time on Reddit. If anything can end wars and disputes, it would be good food. Pro tip for non-Americans: if you are ever in the US for Thanksgiving, end of November, and have nothing to do, go on the local city subreddit where you are and post that you are a foreigner who would like to experience Thanksgiving, and I guarantee you will get an invite from someone to the best holiday we have. My grandmother used to offer her Thanksgiving and Christmas table for foreign exchange students before she passed. It put a smile on her face sharing that with others. There were still leftovers for all. To those outside the States, Thanksgiving is meant to be spent this way. It's a special time to share, literally to be thankful for what everyone has, be it family, friends, health, etc. BTW, if your city doesn't have a Reddit, just stop by any church. I'm sure the members would love to have you over. I honestly love this idea. And as someone who enjoys cooking, but rarely gets to do it for a group, this might be a perfect solution. If you're near a military base, there are usually single troops who can't make it home for the holiday who would love to be hosted for a meal. This entire thread is so wholesome. Usually PPL just hate on America for being so fat, but it's a nice spin that so many non-Americans would not complain about being fat for the American glorious meals. I wanna thank y'all for BBQ and fried chicken. You're also welcome for your lol. Baked cheesecake, Boston chowder, pecan pie, BBQ ribs. Are you telling me it's not general procedure in other countries to take a rack of ribs, grill that bee with a nice rub, cover it in sugar sauce, then face the entire thing until you get so dehydrated from the salt content that it gives you weird meat dreams? Smoke that bitch. Low and slow, homie. I really like Reuben sandwiches. This is an excellent choice that I wasn't expecting to see. I'm Italian. I still dream of the meat I've eaten in the USA. Also, Mexican food. By that I mean whatever it is you guys eat in California. Also, junk food. Also, I might have had the two best cakes of my life in the US. One was a carrot cake at a wedding. Another one was a burnt almond cake. Also, everything that comes with Thanksgiving. The turkey, the mashed potatoes, the deviled eggs. Also, apple pie. Also, I forgot the most important thing. In-N-Out Burgers also. The breakfast. I loved having that giant of food plated and infinite coffee refills. Also, donuts from the local Chinese mom and pop store down the road. Also, bagels. I edited this post and will continue if more stuff comes to mind. The US doesn't get enough credit for food, especially by Italians. Edit. Wow, this blew. Europe and Asia. Why are Americans so fat? Visits USA. Gains 10 pounds in a week. Pavlovian response to thinking about American food installed. I remember my cousins from Italy visited in the 1990s. They wanted hamburgers every fucking day. They had to buy new clothes by the time they left. If you aren't prepared for our food culture, it will mess you up. A friend of my mother's moved here from Ireland. She thought having a donut with coffee was great. She said she did it every day till she didn't fit her clothes anymore. Remember before calories were included on everything? That was a simpler time. Before I knew my favorite cinnamon sugar donut was like 450 calories. Okay, I got this. I'm Chinese, and I grew up in the US on school lunches, because I was poor AF. Casseroles are almost all good. Burgers, meatloaf, pot roast, roasted vegetables, pasta, salad, chili, clam chowder, corn dog, pigs in a blanket, sloppy joes, fried chicken, fried other things people threw into the fryer. These are the ones off the top of my head. I added the below as people reminded me. Bbq and smoked meats, Philly cheesesteak, mashed potatoes W/gravy, and baked potatoes W/loaded. Hell fucking yes. As an American, those are all great comfort foods. Now I want a bite of every one of those. Coconut cream pie. Coconut cream pie is the best pie. My ex-wife used to make heavenly coconut cream pies. She probably still does, but not for me. So, I became a green card holder a short while ago, and in the 2014 I had my first Thanksgiving. Me and my family went all the way up from Miami to SC to visit our family from Georgia, which they had this summer house in SC, and then the family that came from Tennessee made fried turkey for Thanksgiving. Oh, the Lord be praised. That turkey was phenomenal. I'm in SC. We bake a turkey and fry one. Everyone goes into food comas. University of South Carolina quarterback Stephen Garsha got suspended one time for blowing up his dorm room trying to deep fry a turkey. Op is gonna make a killing opening up a BBQ bakery in the UK that serves any clam chowder, cheesecake, pie and chocolate chip cookies. Edit. Add peach cobbler and vanilla ice cream. Dear God. Do it right, Opus. Edit. Are crawfish boils a thing in the UK? Narrator. 3 years later. NHS declared total bankruptcy. I'm sure if the UK got American food restaurants with comparable pricing, the NHS would actually collapse. LMAO. I know this is a joke, but the truth is that the UK is a really unhealthy country. We are not that much thinner than the US, and we probably make up the difference by drinking more than they do. Yee. Everyone has this image of English people being trim/stocky, but from what I saw when I was over there, they are not much better than Americans. Probably a lot fewer morbidly obese folks, because they can actually fucking walk to places. But still. I lived in Asia, and when I visited the USA for 10 days my entire diet was basically Texas BBQ with all the sides, all the pies, apple, peach, pecan, key lime, Philly cheesesteak, hamburger and fries, the simple desserts like fudge brownies, chocolate chip cookies, Krispy Kreme plain glazed donuts, soft drinks like Drive, pepper and root beer are absolutely hated in Asia. Visit the States. Leave 10 pound heavier. Biscuits and gravy. Nothing even comes close. A good buttermilk biscuit with a proper sausage gravy is heaven on earth. Because by the end, your heart stops beating anyway. If you've only had it from a restaurant, I can tell you that it gets much better. Once in a blue moon my immediate family from Chicago goes to visit our relatives from bumfuck nowhere Missouri. Like, living on a farm. Can't see any other houses. Zero cellular reception. Let me tell you, my great aunt's biscuits and gravy are the best I've had. They are so good that I can't order biscuits and gravy from a restaurant because they all just taste like cardboard and pepper. Literally no flavor. She has provided me with the most mouth-watering dish I've ever had, but at the same time, ensured that I can only enjoy said dish if I'm at their farm. If you're going to try B&G, find yourself an elderly farmer's wife. Haha. Elderly farmers' wives are the world's greatest cooks. Man, I miss eating at grandma's. What I wouldn't give for a strawberry pie. I'm from Mexico and we get spoiled with our traditional cuisine, but I found the Thanksgiving dinner experience in the US incredible. Love everything. The turkey, duck meat, cranberry sauce, the stuffing, oh the stuffing, mashed potatoes, salads and the delicious pays that follow for dessert. That whole combination plus the red wine and good company is an incredible experience hard to match. We also get spoiled with your traditional cuisine. Anything with a city name in front of it. Chicago pizza, buffalo wings, Nashville chicken, Philly cheesesteaks. Eggs Benedict are apparently an American invention. Did you know? They are named that way because the recipe calls for eggs. Is cheesecake American? Cause that S is glorious. Rarely do restaurants get it right here, but when they have, that authentic graham cracker crust, it's the most delicious dessert I've had. There was a cheesecake challenge on Great British Bake Off and almost everyone made this with a pastry crust, and I was so sad for them. Saw that. Figured it would be best to cut diplomatic ties with the UK for that travesty. If it helps, this is really strange and the norm for cheesecake crust in the UK is digestive biscuits. Wait. Digestive biscuits are roughly equivalent to graham crackers. Oh, man. I thought they were some kind of medicinal cracker, maybe with antacid baked in. I may be a simpleton, but an average diner with bottomless filter coffee, pancakes, bacon and syrup was my favorite part of the day, although I did put on about 10-15 kilograms after a month in Texas. I missed this so much when I lived in the UK, grew up in New Jersey, land of diners. They simply do not do American diner breakfasts in Europe. Same. I lived in Colombia for 2 years and it's difficult to find a single place that even serves pancakes. American breakfasts are such a comfort to me, though I'm currently visiting, and there's a new place that has some American style breakfast dishes, so that makes me happy. Not the same, but close enough. I love American breakfast food. Honestly, I think they have breakfast down pat. But holy crap, what I really appreciate are pizza rolls. God bless the Americans for pizza rolls. In college you could get an order of pizza rolls from the local pizza place delivered to your house in about 20 to 30 minutes. It just so happens it takes about that amount of time to gather your friends, load into the trucks, and head home after being out at the bars at night. Plus the pizza rolls were $0.95 a pizza roll with an order over 30. So many pizza rolls were consumed throughout college. Cheeseburgers. I have a friend who lived in Japan and China for a total of 6 years. The thing she missed most about American food was cheeseburgers. I lived in Japan and they did have McDonald's and an R&W restaurant. Those were the only places I remember being able to order a cheeseburger. I imagine she must miss authentic restaurant/grill style burgers. Like a lot of stuff in Japan, the good ones are in the most random places. I last lived there in 2014, and there was a good local burger joint a few blocks north of Nara Station, and in the boondocks of southern Akita Prefecture, there's an izakaya run by a dude who's just passionate about making burgers. I know that far from home burger hunger, but they are out there, somewhere in the wild. There's a fantastic place in Harajuku called Great Burger. It was my favorite burger joint when I lived over there. Kuarena is also really good. It's a chain that started in Hawaii, and I used to go to the Ikebukuro location pretty often. My struggle was finding Mexican food. I did find some, but gab, the prices vs the quality of what I can get at home. Mac and cheese. Gumbo. I'm talking cooked by somebody raised south of I-10. A non-American referencing the hellscape that is I-10 is hilarious to me. Calling it I-10 also lets some folks know where you are without even saying it, which I find hilarious. So I'm a European dating an American. I've tried many things so far, but s'mores man holy yes it's perfection. I had the pleasure of watching a table full of folks from Britain eat s'mores for the first time. There was general confusion but ultimately delight. I went to a school that had a lot of international students, and one student org would have a s'more making event during orientation. It was always super fun. When I was a kid we would invite the local British kids to come, do trick or treat, and they fucking loved it. Gumbo. I usually cook a big pot, portion it and freeze it. So good when it's reheated. It doesn't even have to be hot. Grilled cheese sandwich with American cheese. Moved here as a kid and thought the cheeses and the butter were pretty lacking compared to my home country, especially American cheese, because it has a weird plasticky texture. But an American grilled cheese sandwich? With some regular or basic butter? Chef's kiss. I don't get it. But I couldn't get enough of it. Still can't some 30 years later. It's simple, greasy, buttery, just perfection.